Welcome to today's episode featuring Dr. Pinar Gumus Balikcioglu, Associate Professor of Pediatrics at the Duke Molecular Physiology Institute. A longtime North Carolina resident originally from Turkey, Dr. Pinar is recognized for her research and commitment to mentoring future physician scientists. We'll discuss her background, career highlights, and influence in the scientific community.
Good afternoon. I'm delighted to be here at NC Positive and share my journey with you today. I'm Pinar Gumus Balikcioglu. I'm a pediatric endocrinologist and a physician scientist at Duke University Medical Center. I am the co-director for Duke Scholars in Molecular Medicine. I am also the associate program director for our Pediatric Endocrinology Fellowship program. I serve as a mentor for the Duke Pediatric Research Scholars program, as well as our Master of Biomedical Sciences program. And I am very interested and committed in advancing the science and mentoring the next generation of physician scientists.
Pinar, please tell us about your childhood.
So I was born and raised in Turkey. I was born in Tekirdağ, which is a beautiful city by the seaside. Then I was raised in Balıkesir, where my father was born. I come from a family of teachers. My father was a mathematician and he was a brilliant man. My mom was actually a primary school teacher and they were both committed to teaching. So that's kind of like I come from a family of educators. So we were very lucky to be supported by our parents who have been our lifelong mentors. So when this happened, I was just 8 years old. I was in elementary school. I was already interested in biology, and I could say that maybe I was a little bit ahead of the class in terms of learning about science. I think that comes from my father. So I was learning about, the chromosomes and etc. And I turned to the woman and I said, sex is determined by the genes that you inherit, X and Y, and that Y gene comes from the man, not necessarily the woman. So what determines your sex is the gene that comes from the male. So in my country, especially in the rural parts of the country, I think there was this understanding you needed to have a boy or a son to inherit your legacy, which is kind of like detrimental to me. And if you are born as a girl, does that make you less? And it doesn't. So I was determined to just show people that, it doesn't matter if you are a boy or a girl or whatever. It just matters what you would like to do.
Please describe your educational journey.
So I actually graduated from elementary school in Mehmetçik İlkokulu, that's in Balıkesir. And then after the elementary school, I took some exams where you need to get high scores in a national exam. And I was accepted to Sırrı Yırcalı Anatolian High School. Anatolian high schools back then used to combine the middle school and high school in one institute. And they were really rigorous with their curriculum and strong academic focus, especially in foreign languages. So you would get your training in English, German, or whichever language was the primary language. So you were going to be taught in that specific language. And the idea was to raise you as a global citizen with language not being a barrier. So I joined the Anatolian High School after the 5th grade, and I finished the high school as I turned 18 years old. So it was a long time, Sırrı Yırcalı Anatolian High School. And during that time, my love for biology has just grown further. And then I had a biology teacher. Her name is Ayşe. And thanks to her, we were actually, me and my friends, as the team, we were in Olympics for biology in Turkey. We have seen other colleges, even when we were in middle school and high school. So that was a great experience. And then after the high school, I started medical school, Hacettepe University School of Medicine. That's the most prestigious, best medical school in Turkey. And then after the medical school, I stayed for pediatrics residency at Hacettepe University as well, İhsan Doğramacı Children's Hospital. As I was getting towards the end of my pediatrics residency, I was chosen to serve as a pediatric chief resident. So as Dr. Gülsev Kala says, my lifelong mentor, once achieve, always achieve. I learned so much during that chief residency. And chief residency is kind of like has got a lot of responsibilities. You take care of hundreds of patients, but also you are responsible for the training of numerous students, residents, fellows. It's kind of like that's the first real leadership role that I had. And I learned so much that chief resident cap, it gets in my head multiple times per day. So I did complete my chief residency. And during the chief years, I really realized that I was interested in pursuing a research career. So I came to United States for an observership. I actually did come to University of North Carolina in pediatric endocrinology. Dr. Çalıkoğlu accepted me as an observer. And then during that time, it was just instantaneous. I loved the research resources, what could be done, and sky is the limit. That's what I was looking for. So that's kind of like what made me move from Turkey and come to United States to pursue a research career. So after the residency, I did my pediatric endocrinology fellowship first. And after completing the fellowship as an international medical graduate, you need to complete a second pediatric residency, which I did complete at UNC as well. And since then, I continue to strive for mentoring the next generation of physician scientists.
Pinar, what is it like being from another country and living in the US?
Everyone, except for my husband and our children, everybody is back in Turkey. My father, when I told him that I was planning to move to United States for research, and as I said, he's my lifelong mentor, I told him that, this is something that I wanted to do. He looked at me and he said, if this is something you want, I know it's true for you. And then I will call you every day. So my father and I would talk over the phone every day. And because of the time difference, he would go to bed. And before he goes to bed, he calls me. And then he's telling me, good morning. And then before I go to bed, we are talking. And he's just, it was amazing. Even though we were far away from each other physically, my father made it clear to be with someone, you don't need to necessarily see them physically. And that kind of like really helped me because I really love my father. And so that kind of like helped me. I had the full commitment from my parents for my education. I have never had any obstacles from them, anything that I wanted. They raised me in a way that I think they trained me well, and they knew if I was asking for something, there is a solid reasoning behind that, and then they would support me. So yeah, I've been very lucky about that.
How did you meet your husband?
When I was in medical school in Turkey, in Ankara, my husband was actually a student at Middle East Technical University. So I was a student in medical school. He was a student at civil engineering at Middle East Technical University. And we met each other through a common friend of ours. And it was so funny. So we met each other, we stayed friends for a while, and then we started dating. And it's funny how life offers you opportunities. So I finished my medical school. He finished his civil engineering degree then, but he wanted to do something different. So he started to get a master's degree in economics while I started my residency. So during that time, one of his mentors asked him if he would be interested in doing a PhD in United States. So he was the first one who came to United States when I was doing my residency. So he asked me, would you be interested in coming now? And I said, there is no way I'm coming with you now. I love Hacettepe. So for me, my work, my profession, what I'm going to build up for my career is exceptional. So I have got this goal that I am at the Hacettepe University. So I told him this is not the right for me, but I'm going to continue my residency. So he comes, and then when he's doing his PhD degree, he's the one who told me, Pinar, you need to come and see it. You need to come and see it yourself. And then you decide if you want to do this or not. So nobody can make me do something if I don't want to do it. It's just like I really need to see and decide that I want to do that. So I came here for that observership that I told you at UNC. So that's when I met with Ali and kind of like for the first time got exposed to the research world and how different it was. So Metin, while he was completing his PhD, I didn't know how to drive back then. Poor young man, he would drive me every morning from Raleigh to Chapel Hill for my observership in the clinic, and then he would pick me up after 5 or 6 and then drive me back to Raleigh. So that's kind of like the continuation of our relationship, which started in college, in medical school. So in Turkey, medical school is 6 years. So you straight go from high school to medical school, and you don't have any in-between, pre-med education or so. So I started medical school in 1995. I was 18 years old, and I was a physician at age 24. And then you add on your subspecialty if you want to, versus not, which I wanted. But it took from 1995 to 2013 when I joined Duke faculty. So you can do the math, it's 18 years. Yeah, 18 years of education and training.
How did you pursue your profession?
I was at high school. It was my first year in high school. So mathematicians. My math teacher, Ahmet Semerci, came to me and asked me, "Hey Pinar, do you know what you would like to do in the future? I know you love to learn, and I know you love helping people." I said, "Yes, I do love those. I don't necessarily yet know what I would like to do." I was thinking about a couple of options. He said, "Did you ever think about becoming a doctor?" That was the first time I thought about this, and I told my father, I love learning. So I wanted something that I could stay learning forever for my life. I needed to be a lifelong learner, and then I wanted to help people. So being a doctor actually gave me both opportunities. I could help people, I could continue to learn, and I could continue to teach. So coming from a family of teachers, educators, that was the part that intrigued me the most. I could help the patients, I could help their families, I could help young trainees, but also they could help me to learn more and grow more. So that's the reason why I wanted to be a physician. When we come to pediatrics, when I was in medical school, when we were doing rotations, each rotation that I started, I fell in love with them. Like, oh, I'm going to be X, I'm going to be Y. But then when I was doing my pediatrics rotation, children, to me, are the magic of life. They are so young, they are so youthful, they have such energy, they have got so much potential and the chance to transform. I mean, they have got all the potential to transform into their best version, but at the same time, they are vulnerable. I've seen so many children who were suffering from several things that they did not deserve at all. So they need advocates, they need nurturing, they need love. And the way I could do that by being a pediatrician, I could really serve for children and I could help them to be the best version of themselves. And one thing that is interesting, when you go into the room, when you help a child, as they feel better, that smile on their face, that is the most satisfying feeling. I follow children with diabetes, I follow children with endocrine disorders. They are very sick when they come to the intensive care unit with the first new onset of diabetes. They are really sick. And as you start treating them, as you hold the family's hands, and as you are really getting them back to where they were before they got sick, that change in their face is something that keeps me doing what I'm doing right now. It's just like very instant gratification, seeing how well they are doing at that time. So that's why I love children. They are honest, they don't lie, they are appreciating anything and everything that is being done for them. Yeah. So one thing that I noticed is with endocrinology, it's about all these closed loop feedback mechanisms between the organs in your brain. And as I said, like, there is this little beautiful gland that is called the pituitary just behind your eyes. And I call her the maestro. It controls anything and everything in your body like an orchestra chef. And then that gland by itself, being just so small, but just being able to control anything and everything, the beauty of life in your body and how everything is monitored. I like those closed feedback mechanisms. I like how you can make a change and how you can see the impact later down the path. And then the other thing that is great about endocrinology, it is very satisfactory when I treat children with endocrine problems. Maybe I'm not able to cure them, but I'm able to provide them a fulfilling life without any limitations. That's what I love about endocrinology, and I think that's the reason I chose endocrinology. And then you can make a difference and make the child feel better, and then that disease condition is not a limitation for that child. I don't call them my patients. They are children with some specific condition that we can help to get under control so that they can live their full life.
Why did you choose to study about diabetes?
There are 352,000 children with diabetes, and by 2050, there will be 1 million children impacted by diabetes. And what is more concerning, Ana Maria, once a child develops diabetes, despite excellent blood sugar control, despite all the medical treatments that we have, they are still at risk for developing high lipids, high cholesterol, high triglycerides, inflammation, and their cardiovascular disease risks continues to increase. So that's why we need to catch diabetes early, and if possible, we need to prevent it before it begins. So my research focuses on catching diabetes early and ending the disease before it starts. That's what I do in the lab. And then in conjunction with our diabetes program, the other thing I'm very proud of is I lead our multidisciplinary pediatric lipid disorders clinic. It's my baby. It's basically I combine my clinician skill set with my physician scientist skill set. It's a combination of art and science. And that's the one and only center in North Carolina that provides specialized care for children with lipid disorders. And it's important because if you have elevated lipids early in childhood, research shows that actually you can develop heart disease earlier in adulthood. So that's the whole idea, to prevent progression to worsening complications. And then one thing that I love about this clinic, we actually approach your child with an individualized care treatment plan, taking into consideration the child's age, the child's gender, family history, risk stratification. So we always remember that children are not small adults, and you cannot treat children like you treat adults.
Which awards or recognitions are you most proud of?
You know, I have got several recognitions, and everything makes you proud and happy. As I always say, instant gratification that you get when you help a patient, help a child and their families is one thing. The other thing, mentoring has been very important for me. I really think the proudest moments that I have is all about the success of all others. So one of the biggest or my proudest recognitions was I was awarded with the Faculty Mentor Award by the Department of Pediatrics in 2022. This is an award that is given to faculty who is a mentor who excels in any areas, including, patient care, leadership, research, and advancing the science. So that was one of the proudest moments. As a woman, I was featured in the Turkish magazine for one of the women leaders across the United States. There were several other women leaders from across several other disciplines, so it was a beautiful recognition. I was also selected by one of the best doctors in Business NC, so that was another recognition. The last one was I was accepted to the Lefkowitz Society as a faculty mentor. And Lefkowitz Society, as you might know, comes from Rob Lefkowitz, who was the Nobel Prize winner in 2012 in chemistry. So he's actually a faculty, a cardiologist at Duke. So when I park at the eye center, his office is just right to the research drive. So I get to meet with him, I get to talk with him. So when I was accepted to that Lefkowitz Society as a mentor, I was very happy as well. There are several other recognitions, but I think those are the ones that kind of like plays a significant part in my happiness or satisfaction as a mentor.
How do you find a work-life balance?
Well, I've been very lucky about that. My husband, Pinar Balikcioglu, he is a PhD and a statistician, and he's an economist, and he works at SAS. He and I have known each other, I think, for the last 25 years now. And we have grown together. We were just college students when we started dating, and then now we have got a family together. And then over the years, we can see how we have grown together. We have got 2 children. Our daughter, Ege, is actually a middle school student right now. She attends Carey Academy. She's an independent young woman. She is very strong, and she's a competitive athlete. She does swimming, she does dancing, and she is, balancing a lot of things on her plate. I am fascinated by her abilities. Our son is Ata. He is 10 years old. He attends Alston Ridge Elementary School. He is amazing. He is this fun and sunshine that brings you the laughter. So Ata plays soccer. He's a competitive swimmer as well. He also does hip hop for dancing. So he has got a lot of things that he also juggles around. And then, he's a big fan of Messi. So that I will say. And then we've been to a lot of soccer games with them. In terms of balancing things out, I feel like I've been very lucky to have my own biological family. I also have my work family, and I have my friends. So it's kind of like all these people around me who is actually being a great place that I'm kind of like nesting and I'm kind of like regenerating. So it's just like wonderful. In terms of family work-life balance, we take shifts with my husband. That's the best way to explain this. So when we have got assignments to do, whoever is available to do that, they are going to do their best to juggle things around. And then the way it's going to happen, one way or another, we know that it's going to get done. And we know that we will try our best to get it done. And so I feel like family and friends play such an important role. I wouldn't change it for anything else in the world. Like, I cannot give up family or friends for anything else in the world. And in our daily life, the other thing that we like inviting our friends to our home, giving some parties, getting together, getting some quality time. I think that's very important. And thanks to the children, as all humanity in the world has gone through that, the COVID hit. And during that time, when it was kind of like everybody was isolated in their households, right? We had a neighborhood pool. So that neighborhood pool was the platform that we could socialize. And thanks to your children, once you have them, you learn that you can get to meet with anyone and everyone and learn about all the details that you had no idea about that you would be interested in. So that has been an amazing journey. And it's kind of like helped us build up this strong community feeling and neighborhood. So I think it has been very important to make sure that we have got these strong connections so that we can kind of like balance things out with your work, with your family life, with daily activities that you need to do. And then, of course, having family back in Turkey. So you also want to make sure that you are able to see them. So we are still lucky that the grandmothers can come and visit our children. So they are able to get some exposure to Turkish culture and then music and food. So they are enjoying that one as well. So I think having all of them is just an instrumental part of my life.
Pinar, are your children bilingual?
So one of my mentors, Ali and Müge, they told us that, so I told them, how do your children speak Turkish also? So they said, until they turned age 5, they said that they did not know English, so the children had to speak in Turkish, and then if their friends would come, kind of like they would say, hey, you need to translate what your friend says to me, etc. They were playing Turkish music in their car, in their work, etc. So that's what we did. So we told our children that we don't speak English, we will speak Turkish. Our daughter is an excellent Turkish speaker, and she was able to also read Turkish by herself. I didn't teach her the Turkish letters. She was able to do that. And then our son loves to speak in Turkish with his sister, and that's kind of like more so Ege. Ege kind of like, you are speaking in English, start talking in Turkish. So they are bilingual and they know both cultures. And they are getting the best parts of both cultures. I think that's helping their diversity and being a global citizen of this world, and then just exploring new cultures. Actually, Ege is also learning French at Kere Academy right now, so they will have a rotation to France sometimes. So it's going to be, there's a saying in Turkish, one language, one culture, two languages, two cultures. Like when you learn the language, you learn the culture as well, and you become more global. So yeah, they are bilingual.
Which strategies can help you manage stress effectively?
I think my king is dancing. I love Zumba. So that's my thing. I love doing Zumba, and as much as I can, I will try to go to the UNC Wellness Center where they have got the Zumba classes. And then in the future, that's my backup plan. I want to be a Zumba instructor. So I'm learning about that. Recently, I also tried K-pop, believe it or not, and it was so much fun. So for me, it's exercise. I used to be a good runner. I would run 6.5 miles every day, and during my fellowship, every day. Then I started having the IT and all that stuff, so I cannot run as well anymore. That's why I kind of like switched to dancing. That still keeps me moving, so I need to move. I like exercising, and as I exercise, I think it helps me to concentrate, to focus, and kind of like stay focused. It's kind of like, this is my place. I can just kind of like be a dancer, and I don't need to think about anything else. And then after that, I'm gonna think anything and everything. Being in the moment is really important. I learned that over time. When you are at work, be at work. When you are with your family, be with your family. And then we are very busy, we work hard, all of us, right? You need to take care of yourself if you want to take care of others. So the way my ritual is, every Sunday, I wake up around like 6:30 a.m., eager to read the newsletter that comes from Miss Huntress, Josette Huntress. She's the actually head of middle school at Kere Academy. She's my daughter goes to Kere Academy. And this newsletter, I mean, it's just so amazing. I learn all the wonderful things these young minds are being exposed to. It gives so many advices, strategies, how to cope with, life, stress, learning skills, all of those. So as I read this newsletter, I am feeling re-energized. And then sometimes some of the newsletters, I share it with my colleagues at Duke and my trainees so that they can read those strategies. And then after that, as the kids wake up and everything, we have a big breakfast with no rush. My children, Ege and Ata, my husband, Metin. And then that's just like enjoying that family time. And if possible, we take some walk in the nature. So that's kind of like the regeneration for me. But once the kids go to bed, Sunday nights, I review my weekly schedule again. And then I also read the newsletters that comes from the Department of Pediatrics and my professional societies. And that's how I kind of like incorporate my trainings with all these wonderful opportunities, because by the end of the day, I'm investing in people. I'm helping them to be the best versions of themselves. And I think, Anna Maria, there is nothing more satisfying in this life than investing in people, because it really indeed makes a difference.
What advice do you have for the younger generations?
For the young generations and for the young people, I can say, never give up, never stop dreaming, just focus on what you want to do, never miss an opportunity. I think anything that comes to your way, please try to take advantage of it, learn from it, and enjoy it. As they say, enjoy the moment, enjoy your youth, and try to continue to grow so that you can become leaders and help the next generation of young people. I think one of the things that helps me is to trust my team and also motivate my team to solve the problems. So that's why I think when an obstacle arises, I just relish it. And I don't necessarily see it as an obstacle. Just make sure you find something that makes you feel excited about this. You need to feel excited. You need to feel happy. You need to feel like, I want to do this. If this is something you want to do, then there's nothing that can stop you. Sky is the limit. Nothing is never enough. And if you want to do something, no one else can tell you what you can or you cannot do. It's really you, and you know yourself better than anyone else. Definitely have your, nurturing environment that kind of like helps you grow and then develop into the next level of your career or step, but definitely never give up. There's always hope. There's always hope. Stay positive and definitely try to make people understand what is it that you are bringing to the table, to the community. What are your advantages? What are you bringing to that culture? I think that's so important so that people can understand who you really are.
How can people find professions they are passionate about?
I think if I came to this world again, I would again choose medicine. There is nothing more satisfactory than medicine, the instant gratification in clinic, but also then the long-term findings when you are doing research. Just as an example, I see children with diabetes, I treat them, I manage their insulin doses, pumps, etc. But then in the lab, I'm trying to work on these pancreatic islet cells to kind of like find a way how I can increase their insulin secretion, just as an example. So it's just so stimulating, so rewarding.
Why do you choose to live in North Carolina?
So I like North Carolina for several reasons, okay? First of all, North Carolina offers everything that I would want, right? It offers sunshine, mountains, beaches, vibrant cities, good food, good entertainment. It's small enough, but also it's big enough that you can travel to anywhere in the world and then you can stay connected with the rest of the world, but still you can have a calm lifestyle. So that's why I love North Carolina. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise your family and raise your children. I cannot think of another place. Like, we are spoiled here. It's just like sunshine. It's just beautiful. For professional life, this is RTP. This is Research Triangle Park that have got all these biotech and pharma companies. Plus, we have got one of the biggest research universities here. Actually, 3 of them. Duke University, UNC, and NC State. So it's just making North Carolina, to me, the RTP, a hub for the combination of science and art. So that's why I love it. What it offers is just unbelievable, the way it combines it. And of course, the weather. I mean, it's just like so beautiful. The number of sunny days, I think, here might be higher than anywhere I lived before. So it's just like beautiful season, beautiful opportunities that it brings you for raising your family, and then for personal gratification when you are talking about your professional life.
What are your future professional goals?
I envision myself taking global leadership roles in medicine, especially in pediatric endocrinology. I want to enhance science, moving beyond the borders. Okay, it doesn't matter if you are in US, if you are in Europe, or if you are in other parts of the world. So I really want to have these global connections, especially with, in our career, it's the Pediatric Endocrine Society, European Society for Pediatric Endocrinology, and National Lipid Association. Like all these organizations that I am playing a vital role in, I can envision that I can combine the resources to try to make sure we can collaborate globally and then increase our access to research resources. And by the end of the day, what does it bring? I think research brings you the chance to, as I said before, to stop the disease. Like how nice it would be if you could eradicate a disease and then you don't have that anymore, and then the child just completely lives a full life. So that's kind of like what drives my intentions. And then again, in terms of leadership, it's all about, I think, leaving the legacy for next generations. So when I talk about legacy, I have the skill set that comes from my mentors, my mom, my father, Gülsev Kale, who was the chair of the Department of Pediatrics at Hacettepe, and then all my mentors here, Chris Newgard, Michael Freemark. I feel I have kind of like collected their legacy and kind of like learned so much from them. And I'm hopeful that I can transfer this to the next generations so that they continue to develop as leaders. And they are strong. They know what they can do, and they know how strong they are in terms of obtaining good careers as a woman, especially in underdeveloped parts of the world. Like they should have access to several resources that they don't have right now. So I think I'm going to play a role trying to make sure that they have the resources and then they can make a difference as well.